Myrna. Welcome to the Mom Energy Podcast. We are back with season 2, and we're going to switch it up a little bit. So now I want to introduce a couple of my guests that I have today, and I'm super excited. But before we do that, I just need you guys to do me a favor. I need you to please subscribe, like, and share this to everybody. Let's get into it. So first I have my auntie, my spiritual healer, Miss Pammy Pam. And then I have a longtime friend known since high school. And I'm really just into just talking about this with different moms instead of it just being me. I originally started this because I got into being a mom after starting to be a stay-at-home mom. And it made me look at things differently. So I'm super excited to kind of hear different perspectives other than just mine. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell us what you guys do, who you are, where your business is at. We need to know all of that before we get into this because we definitely supporting moms on the business tip.
Sure, you're right. I am Pamela Denise. I'm a transformational speaker. I offer tools for transformation. I'm also a life balance coach and the creator of Start With Water. That's a whole thing. But you can find me on Instagram at I am Pamela Denise, all social platforms, YouTube at I am Pamela Denise.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kat. I'm a cosmetologist, esthetician, a full-time worker, student. I'm actually working in Flossmoor right now at Therapy Beauty and Wellness. You can find me on Instagram at a_nice_NYCE_touch. And I'm just excited to have this conversation.
Yes, let's get into it. So one of I think was most popular topic last season was childhood trauma, and I think that's what I got the most understanding. Like people wanted to know because I think it's always centered around like this more dramatic situation to have childhood trauma. Like you have to lose a parent or you have to like have this rough past. And I think childhood trauma can stem from different reasons and it could be abandonment and it don't necessarily mean that somebody actually abandoned you. It could just be you feeling abandoned in your situation that you're in. Your parents could be at work and they just never explained it to you or whatever that is. So I just really want to touch on that because that's very important, especially with our black culture today. And it's so many people that I don't know too many of those that don't have it or have some piece of it just because of ancestry or just from back in the day and us growing into it and never really changing it, like the generational curses and things like that. So let's get into it.
Well, I watched your episode, so of course I responded on the episodes. But I feel like, I lived a good life. I didn't have a hard life at all. But the things that our parents have to do just to get us to a good place is not always pretty. It's not always the picture of what you think a family should be as a child. So I can't say like, I dealt with abandonment necessarily, but I dealt with a father who was absent because of work, not because he wanted to be absent. And then also my mom, she was working, at the airport nights, and so we were always with other people. So I feel like when it comes to being a mom, being present is very important to me. So that's why I try to operate in fields that allow me to have flexibility. Even though being a student now and being a wife and just, creating a home environment, things aren't going the way I pictured, but I also try to prioritize my family, prioritize being a mom. Obviously work has to come, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to break generational curses. I'm trying to have that open communication. I'm trying to be present, pretty much.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
the big
important.
thing.
And it's important. Yeah, it's funny because I think people assume that when we say these things that we're saying like, oh, well, you were a bad parent or, I didn't like the way you did it. But I think that in every generation, and that's not even in all households, it may get better because you see things differently. You want to change it. And I think even looking at my mom and my grandmother, I feel like my mom probably did a little bit better than my grandmother, and vice versa.
Each
And
generation tries to.
yeah,
They try to. We do the best that we can.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, like I'm of your mother's generation, and we come from the same place, really. And if you think about it, and this is not making excuses, like our parents were just one generation removed from Jim Crow,
Right.
and children were just supposed to do what they were told, and parents just had to make things happen, and that's what was passed down.
right.
Like if you didn't get an education, like you gotta be able to make. And so they were just trying to maintain, and education was really stressed. And so, in order to make that happen, they had to work really hard and couldn't necessarily be there. So they really just did what they knew to do, and they passed that down, because what else are you gonna pass down except for what you know to do? You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And that's why certain
and
other cultures is better, because they have certain things, not even better, but they were passed down better lessons than ours were able
rituals
to.
and right.
Traditions. And yeah, because I've been around, especially me being around that Asian culture, like just the way they move with teaching their kids things so early in some instances. It's just like it's really just a situation where we could just move
we
forward.
literally got taken from our country, like
Right.
our homeland. We literally did, and we have never had fair opportunities here. That's a real thing. We
It is.
cannot negate that.
It is.
I mean, like broken families were intentional, like to break the black community. If you keep the black family separated, like that's everything, and they have been really successful in doing so. Like,
Yeah.
and so that's why each generation does get a little bit better. Like I want to commend you. You do really well with doing that inner work. Like,
Man.
that's really how it gets done. And because our generation, our parents' generation, worked so hard, we didn't have time to do that inner work. Like, I ain't got time for that. Like, I got.
And I understand that because, well, my grandmother was an immigrant. She came from Haiti. So my mom always stressed, get an education, go to school. Like, you have to do it, you have to do it, you have to do it. But at the same time, we're a new generation. I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I want to do what my passion is. So it's like, I stepped aside from going to school and did, get into what my passions are. But at the end of the day, like you say, the inner work, that's really what matters, because
That's
there's
really
a lot
what
of
matters.
built up trauma
Yeah.
that my mom holds on to, that her sisters hold on to, that nobody talks about.
And I think it's funny because I think they just gotten used to just like get over it. Like this thing of like get over it, move forward, just do what you got to do. Like, and it's so focused on making sure you pay the bills, making sure you keep a roof over your head, make sure you keep food in your mouth, and all these other things in your family, and taking care of them.
All of that's
It's
trauma
like
response.
all of that is kind of like negated, because it's like you're always on with the hamster wheel. You're always going, and it just kind of gets swept under the rug to the point where I don't even think some people realize that they have it. It's like they're so used to masking it. They're so used to just sweeping it on the rug and I don't think they understand that certain triggers come out. Like, I know people in real life who would like say something, and I was one of them.